Hello and welcome back to SkizzleCraft, everyone. I am WhitexBlackRose, also known as Anne throughout the internet, and there be issues. Specifically in the form of a castle being too small, and Odin saying he wants a castle. So, to kind of paraphrase this, we're at my original base where I'm doing all of the hide-and-seek shenanigans. There's my original house down there with the barn and the stables. Yeah, and this is, let me turn my HUD on so that I don't accidentally die. But Odin one night said, I want to try to build a castle. Can you help? Well, considering that I teach world building and history and so forth, I grabbed this castle outline, which I've used many times before when making D&D stuff, but this is a wee bit small. You know, I can't put the Great Hall in. I can't put the kitchens. I can't put... I mean, I could, but it'd be very, very dinky small. So with 1.20 and the availability of having a second base, Odin decided to fly around the world and find a spot that would work. So I am going to make my way over there now, and I shall see you on the other side. Ouch. Yes, it's editing me again. This was a combination of scroll brain and audio difficulties, so I get to be more concise this time. Huzzah. So this second base is not in the new 1.20 map. This is on the very edge of the map for the old territory of 1.19 biomes, but that is perfectly fine. We were in the agreement that we wanted a mountain, and then we started, messing with cherry trees and so forth, figuring out what to do. And then one of the first things we did was we dug a big hole to put a storage room in. Odin has very wisely figured out that grind is something that I do on autopilot way too easy. And he thought, let's build a storage room so that I just come in with a shulker, grab the stuff I need for building for an episode, and then if I need anything, he can go run and grab it, which has been wonderful. It has been so wonderful. I am so spoiled. So the central part of the base, even though it's not the dead center number-wise for the base chunks for our territory, is the Mage Tower. The Mage Tower, I kind of winged it. I made sure that the Mage Tower and the Portal Tower, which I flew out of in the beginning of the clip, are the same diameter. But when you put the roof on, you would never know, because I did expansion and shrinking and so forth to give some visual texture, and bad math. Very bad math. But with the Mage Tower, I wanted to do, water, fire, air, earth. I still have to figure out an element for earth for the roof, because I was watching Candela Obscura one night and just put some stone type faceting with the roof in place so that if I decided to put like Sauron or something, I had a way to create tendrils for like a jeweler's setting for a ring type of thing. But most of the stuff with the early days with this part of the base was just getting the farms together, finding spawners. I mean, I have my skelly spawners. There's 2 of them, and I wish they were closer together. Poo, I guess. They're very far apart, but they are in convenient spots in the base because I can be anywhere in the storage room, and it's one of them is on at least. But yeah, we're going into my creative world here, and I will tell you right now, nothing I planned back in September ended up being the final product. Lava I had to say goodbye to. I wanted there to be lava, but the movement animation, I guess we would call it, it caused a lot of lag. Odin and I have a menagerie, and that means we have a lot of lag. If there's rain, sometimes lag gets so bad we can't move. So I had to say bye-bye to the lava in my designs for the towers and the castle. But that's fine. The Crimson Vines worked out very good as a replacement. But yeah, a lot of the stuff that I design in creative worlds just never really work out. I find I am very 3D person. I have to make the thing to figure out do I like it or not. I can never do those block palette things that we see Grian or Pearlescent Moon do. I'm like, I have to build a splice model, otherwise I could be halfway through this and realize I don't like this. And then I'm like Pearl at Bonum of the, I don't like where my door's positioned. Can you help me just rotate it? So yeah. But since I promised a castle chat, I will talk castles. One of the castles that I love using in model making for D&D stuff and game dev stuff is Harlech Castle. It is a castle in Wales. Dan Snow's history of the castle is my favorite. I highly recommend his little chat from History Head on it. But essentially, this is a castle on steroids. It has 9 gates and portcullises. It is, strangely enough, funnily enough, it is a late 13th century castle. So that means Longshanks had it built. And here on the SkizzleCraft server, we are all things we love Braveheart. I mean, Bunny Bon rewrote the William Wallace speech for Skizz to deliver when we went to fight the dragon. I have some connections to that part of history and that part of the world. So I was like, okay, how do I? How do I make this thing a little bit more fantasy-like? Because Odin has said he wants something a little more fantasy-leaning. So I started with the gatehouse, and the gatehouse is something that I have built before. This is in a model world for D&D, where I had the gatehouse on 2 different levels, and you have a crane. So basically, think of like a medieval version of an elevator. During the Living History project in Brittany, France, we actually see one of these in action. But instead of being an elevator for people, it was the elevator lift for stonework for the masons to continue. So I'm going to have to figure out some way to make this. But I think that would give my brain the happy emotion stuff of, okay, you put a little bit of history in here as this Easter egg. Now we can go on to the fantasy stuff. Now the color palettes that Odin and I prefer are kind of more lich-like, I guess we could say, in fantasy terms. I mean, we like the deep slate, we like the darker colors, and that makes me happy because I go for those all the time. So designing stuff with the actual castle, you know, the Great Hall, what we kind of see is sort of the king's seat of a castle. That's been interesting to design. And I have to go down a rabbit hole. Odin kept flying into this before I removed it. So I was trying to figure out, how did he do that? So that's why I was on fire. But yeah, castle. Trying to come up with a blend of history and fantasy is kind of interesting because what we're basically looking at would have been an architect going castle core, if you would. Because a lot of the things we think of as castles, you know, kind of the Disney type castle stuff, that's more of what they built in the 1800s, not the 1300s, 1400s, or the 1200s. So I've kind of got a few ideas. I'm wanting to do some more stuff with sort of the dark underworld setting that Odin and I have started with this. But it's very hard recording, let's say, because things move very fast in certain parts of this base, and sometimes things move very slowly. But I am done terraforming, I will say, until the castle is built, because I think I need to make the building before I try to figure out how to make the castle. And when I go to terraform, I think I'm going to be watching some of Shadiversity's old videos on how to like make some of these castles in video games more realistic with history on defenses and so forth. Those are some of my personal favorite videos he's ever done. But yeah, I'm trying to make the defensive feature the environment, because when you have magic, let's be true, let's be real, no amount of defenses is going to save you. So that is where the creativity comes in. And I think that is a good segue to say, I will see you next time standing in front of said castle. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.